never saw been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Straightening the curves, flattening the hills. Someday the mountain might get them, but the law never will. Making their way the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law will allow. Just a good old boy, they wouldn't change if they could. Fighting the system like a true modern day Robin Hood.
That's right, an Ecto-1, a Funko Pop Ecto-1. Funko Nop Top here, and let me just tell you, I drove this thing. It's fast. It's not that safe off jumps though, so I decided to make it radio controlled. No, not mud. Too soon, too soon. All right, got her out. Thanks to my nephew for letting me borrow his Team Associated SC28 1/28 scale RC car. This thing fit almost perfectly. I just needed to make a couple modifications. Unfortunately, I only recorded a little bit of these modifications, mostly because I didn't think it was gonna work, but it did. So here's the stuff I did to make this thing roll. Links in the description with all the details of the cars and everything if you're interested to find out more about how to get some of this to make your own. This is how I put it together. The RC car chassis was just slightly too wide, so I needed to trim down the rear hubs and shorten the front steering width. So what I did was just clip these little hubs off to make it narrower, and then in the front steering I snipped this and then re-glued it with epoxy, and then with some plastic from a lid I just recreated the steering mechanism, and that was it. I only kinda know what I'm doing, so I was just glad I didn't completely wreck this RC car. I painted the wheels and there it is. My favorite part of this RC Ecto-1 setup is the suspension. This thing looks so cool bouncing around and how it leans when it hits the turns. And of course the jumping, look how cool this looks. I mean, come on. The chassis obviously wasn't designed for the weight of this Funko Ecto-1 body. I'm gonna stiffen the rear springs here eventually. But for now, I put some tape on the back and it seems to be holding pretty well. I reinforced the front suspension as well with a small wire, and even though it was just a test setup, everything seems to be holding really well, so I'm probably just gonna leave it. Now, jumping this thing really didn't help the suspension at all. As you can see, it's sitting a little wobber jombled. You're welcome, I did it for you. Well, I did it for me as well. I mean, come on, how am I not gonna jump this thing, right? Right? Like I said, I have the chassis all taped up on the bottom, and I also just taped it to the actual body. And as you can see here, the way the spacing works, the steering works perfect. There's just enough clearance so turning the wheel doesn't hit anything inside. And the same for the back end as well. It's perfectly spaced, so this is great. Looking at the other side of the car, you can see that there's a ghost behind me, isn't there? Slimer. Not now. I will bust you so hard. Now get on out of here. Get. Okay, where were we? This Ghostbusters Afterlife Funko Pop Ecto1 has a gunner's seat that's always open. Now I was thinking about cutting it off, closing the door, and like, you know, covering all that, but I kind of like the way this looked, but also I mostly didn't want to do all the work involved to do that. With the door and the seat open, it does add a little bit more weight to this side, and especially with the suspension, it's a little wobber gobbled again because of that extra weight, and I'm sure once I stiffen everything up it'll work, but it kind of looks cool just sitting like this. It's an old Cadillac, what do you expect? This 1/28 scale Team Associated chassis isn't the most powerful, but it's enough to have fun on smooth surfaces. And as you can see, it handles some of the bumpier terrains and jumps pretty well, and I mean, this thing scoots. It's a scooter. It's a scooter tooter. This thing's scooting. Blah. If you feel inspired to make your own, be sure to check the links in the description like I mentioned earlier, and also, if you do make one, tag me on Instagram at NopTop. I'd love to see the thing. NopTop, go make something. More Ghostbusters stuff coming soon, and until then, be sure to check out this video right here.